to say. I always wanted to tell this story. So I remember when I was a bad boy, right? I remember when I was a bad boy and I was in prison. First time ever in prison.
Okay.
So of course in prison you get into the history, right? At the time coming out of the Bronx, I had 15 to life. I gave the time back for the young. I gave the time back, right? So I had 15, I was able to give the 10 back, but in that process, I was studying Egyptology, teaching black studies, right? So this is early 80s, early 90s. And at that time, Raz, I remember hearing Nature of the Threat, right? First, listen, I was blown away, right? Because I'm seeing now a young black man, I'm like, how? He's my age, right? How is he? Wait, look, because let's just be real, Raz. At that time, you know, for us, most dudes are saying, nah, man, that motherfucker had to be in jail, man, to be sharp like that. You dig what I'm saying? Because at the time, we dealing with early 90s, and individuals that was coming home hitting the streets. You know, when dudes come home hitting the streets, they got the do-rags on, and you don't really see that, or they build and they are real Malcolm X mode.
Right.
So, right. So I'm reading. I get my tape. At the time I got the tape, I'm like, oh shit. So I'm just getting it. I'm like, I don't really know, but my people was like, yo, you gotta hear this, right? So I told them, I'm like, the Nature of the Threat came on your dogs. And I'm reading I got Dr. Ben, I got all the books. I'm like, nah, he didn't say that. How old is he? Nah. You know what I mean? So I always wanted to tell that story, Raz. I always wanted to tell that story. You know, yeah, man. Yeah.
You know, honestly, you know, we started getting, I started getting knowledge of self, ironically, around 5th grade. Basically, I was the age of a 5th grader, but I was in the 7th grade. So then I was still me. So I was messing up. So I did go to jail. And then my I did juvenile hall. Then what we have is youth authority, CYA. And she gave it to me while I was in juvenile hall. Then I ended up just through my process. They put me in CYA. Then I took a deal when I went back to court, and then I took it and got charged as an adult. But yeah, that book, it just resonated. But I had the knowledge of self, but I was still, as the Nation of Islam, they would always say, like, you got one boot on and one Nike on. So I was always that kid anyway, because the kid had 2 Nikes on from day one. Then I got the boot, you know, and I was like, you know, which is what Solo Nights is about, being conflicted. Like, I know this is right, but I like doing this other bullshit. You know what I'm saying? And that was just it really gave me some time to refine my thinking, analyze myself. I still ended up going back to prison and fucking up more, but everybody was tripping off of me because I wrote the record. That was part of my demo. So Nature of the Threat was on my demo before I got signed.
Wow.
I had a demo before that, even as a younger kid, and I was kind of like a prodigy MC once, you know, the opportunities came and certain artists recognized me, bigger homies put me in positions. And then when I came back with the next batch of records, I remember Albie and Tommy Boy was like, we can't do anything with this. Right. Like, but, you know, always loved me, Trench and everybody. They like, Ras is dope. And I'm like this little kid. You know, I've been blessed. Hip-hop, you know, hip-hop. If it wasn't for Rakim and Big Daddy Kane and honestly, NWA, Fuck the Police, those songs started resonating. But I remember just hearing Rakim and saying, I'm God. And I'm like, you know, I grew up Catholic. You know, that's my culture, you know, from my mother's side. Went to Catholic school until 8th grade.
I don't know. Yeah.
So for me, when the nigga said I'm God, I thought it was like some New York slang, but he was saying God. I was like, my brain could not process God. I'm like, you can never say that. That's just wrong. And then, you know, and then I started getting into studies. I'm like, bars, facts. You know what I'm saying? And so this hip hop changed my, it taught me to challenge the thinking, go read, go learn. And I'm blessed that, that body of work, that particular song, other songs since, that sometimes they challenge people to think. Some people get very offended, and I've never said I expect everybody to agree with me, but I researched and that the point of that record was to be as accurate chronologically and factually as possible.
But now, Raz, how is it? So now, remember, during that time, we had an influx of different types of sounds, right? We had the Nas, right? But and I'm a Nas fan, but Nas was giving you something, but not as. Oh man, yo, it was like, yo, how? And now throughout the years, you managed to stay consistent with a sound where you, to this day, I still got to rewind. Like, I'll go to a joint and be like, yo, but he said that. Like, dogs, that was 10 years ago.
I mean, we get the jewels, like I studied with the Moors, I studied with the Hebrews, the Israelites, the nation, the 5%.
Right.
I studied, I studied academically with White Man's College. Those books have information. I did self-study, I did encyclopedia, and they all tend to basically line up. That's what I always tell people. Like,
there you go.
Information is there. Most people are just too lazy, or they got us too much in survival mode, or too distracted with who got 2 Bentleys and who's dating who and that bullshit to deal. These are the times when everybody wakes up and says, damn, party record ain't really applicable right now. It ain't what we partying for. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Unfortunately, I was wired to want to write those kind of records because even when, I was receiving the benefit of being one of those people put in a position to have success, I still thought about my fellow human beings and specifically my people of color.
Right.
Be that Dominican, Puerto Rican, Mexican, Filipino, Japanese, whatever.
Right.